How's it going?
Good. Thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, no worries.
So I can.
Where are you coming from? Where are you at?
Oh, I'm in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. All right.
I can start from the beginning. Didn't you grow up in LA in Orange County?
I did. I grew up in Orange County, and well, I grew up in Buena Park, and spent a lot of time between Buena Park, Newport, and Huntington Beach, and everything in between. And yeah, pretty cool life back then. Pretty low key, and still a lot of dairies and orange fields and places where kids can run around and dirt cloud fight and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
So did you get into trying to pursue entertainment pretty quickly after graduating?
No, I had no real. I really didn't have a whole lot of interest in it. I was playing music when I was younger, and all through high school, garage bands, and we played the dances and play nooners on the quad and that kind of thing, and parties and stuff. And I was a drummer,
Oh,
and that was a lot of fun, and that was about it. But I mean, I was always kind of a ham. Always kind of the chuckles of the class, getting in trouble all the time for opening my mouth a little too often and cracking too many jokes and not being serious enough. But I would, I remember times, there were even times when the teacher would have a hard time punishing me because he was laughing.
no.
So that was pretty cool, I mean, he had to punish me still, but I could see him laughing. He was having a good time too. But that's just so it was kind of always in my blood. In fact, long after that, um, I found out my grandfather was in vaudeville,
Oh,
and the only reason I knew this because I received this old suitcase after he passed away, and it had all his vaudeville stuff in it and a bunch of old vaudeville plays, and so it was like, it must be in my blood, So that was pretty cool. But I didn't do anything like this type of stuff until I was out of. I went to junior college until I was out of junior college, and that's kind of where I started getting the bug then, and it was just really by mistake. But here I am now.
and so what was the first job that got you into SAG?
It was a commercial for Sonic drive-throughs. You guys have Sonic drive-throughs there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was for Sonic drive-throughs, and all I had to say was, "Who, me?" And I'm sitting at the drive-through, and you know who Tom Bosley is by chance
Yeah.
from Happy Days? He was like an MC, and he was going through the drive-in with a microphone, and he basically says, "You look like a winner." And I'm there with my girlfriend in the car. We're eating, and I look around. I do. That's right, because And then they did whatever pitch, which I don't remember what it was, but that was my very first union gig.
Okay.
And I remember it was really funny because I went to the audition and I took a buddy of mine with me because it was like, dude, come on, we're not doing anything else. Just go to this thing. And so he did. And we were kind of just hanging out. And when I walked in, the director, it was so funny. He said, when I did the line, he said, "You're my guy. You're it. But
Hmm.
I got to see the rest of these people. So just hang out and we'll talk afterwards. I got to see like five more people, but you're my guy." I go, okay, and I didn't know how things went. And I went down and I told my buddy, and I was pretty giddy, it was my first
Hmm.
gig. And actually, it was my second gig. I did one before that, a non union thing, before I was in the union for Levi's.
Okay.
And it was pretty whacked as well because I'm sitting at, I think we were at USC or UCLA. I was in a classroom, and this really hot chick comes walking down the aisle with really tight jeans on, and I have a cast on my leg, and they had this air thing underneath it, so when she walked by, I look at her and my cast blows off my leg. Pretty whacked. But that was my first union gig, was the Sonic thing.
Okay. And so how long of a gap was that like from that and then when you got the gig in Tough Guys?
Well, it was quite a long time because I did quite a few commercials after that. I was mainly doing commercials at the time,
Okay.
and I probably did, after the Sonic, I probably did another, I don't know, 10 or 12 commercials, and then decided to go on and pursue things, into the theatrical end of things. And what happened there was, I was working on a job, and like my whole career seems to have progressed this way. I was doing print work to begin with, and somebody said, "You got to do commercials," and I go, well, "How do you do that?" And they said, "Well, go take a commercial workshop," and blah 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 blah. And I did all that, and started doing commercials, and then I was doing a commercial, and said, "You should do other stuff, man. You should, get out there and television and film." I said, "Okay, how do you do that?" And at the whole time, I was pretty active in the theater.
Hmm.
And Tough Guys came, I don't know, several years after that. I was doing a play with a buddy of mine, a good buddy of mine, David O'Neill, who's now a writer and director, terrific guy. We were doing this play called Minnesota Moon, Minnesota Moon, and really cool little one-act play. And we decided to do this like filming of it, And anyway, some casting people came to the play, and the person that was casting Tough Guys, she thought that we were perfect for those roles, a couple of reporters. And we're like, okay. And so we went together to the audition, and it was pretty cool. It just kind of happened. And that was my first big gig on
Hmm.
television, which was so cool. I mean, I don't know if you know much about it, but there's some pretty big stars in that film, and we were just like two knuckleheads, not knowing what we were doing, but having a blast. In fact, we actually kept a diary the whole time we were there, just things we were seeing and things we were doing, which I
Hmm.
have somewhere, and I know David's got it somewhere. Just stuff we were watching and experiencing with Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster and Charles Durning, Eli Wallach. I mean, these guys are like, what?
Hmm.
Who am I standing next to? It was pretty cool.
And so shortly after that would have been Star Trek.
Yeah, probably. Be honest with you, I don't really remember
Okay.
order. It's been a long time, but yeah, probably was Star Trek or yeah, we'll just go with that. And Star Trek, I don't remember how that came about, but it was fun, and it was. I'm trying to remember. There seems like there was something going on that one. It seems like we were right in the just about to go on a writer's strike or something. And so they were filming as fast as they could and shooting it, trying to get it done. And the other thing that I remember from that was they were really protective of the emblems.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want anybody stealing those emblems, which was, I look back now and it's like, okay, but it's pretty fun. I wish I would have had it now. Kind of cool. But yeah, that was the big thing is just, I need to have that. You got to, I have to see you right after the shoot because I have to have that emblem back, okay, no
Mhm.
worries, you know.
And there were some other things like the new Lassie TV series.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that was right in there too, what happened was, once you start doing the episodic stuff, you just kind of keep rolling and doing these little episode shows, and that was kind of a fun show, and it was a really fun show to do, and it was interesting because it was on the back lot of Universal.
Hmm.
And the interesting thing about that is, I don't know if have you ever been to Universal Studios? You ever been out here
No.
in there? They have a whole tour,
Hmm.
and they've got these trams, just like at Disneyland or something. They got these trams going nonstop of people, waving. So when you're filming, you have to stop and you have to wherever you're at, you have to wave at everybody going by on the tram.
Yep.
And there's probably three trams in the sense of one scene. So you cut, everybody waves. All right, back
Hmm.
to one, and we start again. It was pretty funny. That's what I remember from that.
And I guess your next like major film role would have been in Suburban Commando.
Um, yeah, probably so, and that was pretty wild, just because of the people I was working with.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan, Mean Mark, the Grave. I actually worked with Mean Mark. These wrestlers, Mean Mark and the Gravedigger. Gravedigger,
Hmm.
is that what I think that's what he was called. And these guys are huge. And I've never been a real small guy, but next to those two guys, I felt like a girl. I was like, wow, you guys are enormous. And like I said, I wasn't a real little guy, but for those guys, and plus I had this really long ponytail going down my. I had really short hair, cropped hair. Pretty sure I had cropped hair, and then they put this ponytail on me. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling like a girl here with these two guys. But that was kind of an interesting movie. And I will tell you an interesting fact about that movie that I don't think I've ever said it at all to anybody. So you got a scoop here. I'm pretty sure my voice was actually replaced in that movie,
Oh, huh.
which is what I do now today.
Right.
That's how I make my living today is a lot of voice replacement. And I think that was the first time that I went there and it was like, well, that's not my voice. Now who knows why? I mean, it could have been they hated my voice or they had technical problems and they didn't want to pay me to come in. All kinds of reasons. But yeah, I remember watching going, that's not my voice.
Mhm. Yeah, that is interesting because I just talked to Bridget Hoffman back in June, and I know that she primarily
Uh-huh.
does. Yeah, I know that she primarily does ADR for major film and TV now too.
That's right.
Instead
I
of
work with her all the time.
oh, okay,
And what's so interesting about that is Bridget and I, we met doing anime
right.
back in whenever, early late '80s, early '90s. She was directing anime at that time, and that's where we actually met. I remember exactly where I met her, at the studio and where we were, and I don't know why, but I just remember that. And now she's the most lovely person in the world, and I
Mhm.
see her all the time, and her husband Riff, and her little boy, and well, his little boy's a big boy now, but I've kind of grown up with him, and yeah, work with her all the time. She's terrific.
So I guess do you remember what your first anime role was?
I think it was, oh boy, I pretty I want to say it was either Street Fighter or Armitage, and I don't
Okay,
know which one came first. They kind of rolled into each other. Those are the two that I remember from the beginning. Both the same company, both with Kevin Seymour,
yep.
um, and it was one of those two.
And did you take to dubbing easily, or was it difficult?
Yeah, no, 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 pretty quickly, and I was actually really fortunate. And I think most people that started back then will tell you we were really fortunate to start at that time because we started at a time where, now when you do dubbing, they're just called beeps. You have a series of beeps,
Right.
and that fourth beep you come in and man, you're right in on it. We didn't have beeps. We were in a little tiny phone booth of a booth, and we're watching the code and watching the lips to know when we're going to start, and watching your script. So you got your script, the code, where the code being the picture as it's going, the frames and the time. And they're going to say, yeah, you come in at 1850:32. Okay. So you're looking at 18. As soon as you hits 1850, you start talking, because it's just a fraction. And then
Mhm.
you hopefully got the first line in your head, so then you can look down at the script, and you're hoping to hit the mouth flap, if there's a pause. So when you learn that way, when beeps came in years later, it was like, what beeps? Oh man, this is easy, and it really was just a great experience. And learning that way, it really helped me down the road. And I think I kind of took to it pretty well. Kevin was kind of at times a tough cookie to work with, but yet not so tough. In fact, as we went on, I found myself wanting to do more takes than he
Oh,
wanted to do. No, we got it. Let's move on. But I think no, we got it. It's like no. But I was just getting more picky as we did it. I think I missed that. No, you didn't. You're fine. We'll move it. And then as I learned, there was so much they could do too, squishing stuff together, and you know. But yeah, it's it. I think if I hadn't taken to it, I wouldn't be with you today.
right.
It worked out so well. And I do have a tendency to move fast when we're in there. We always have time left over, and we move pretty quickly. So.
And as the role with Ryu progressed, did you could you relate to him at all?
Well, I mean, I'm no tough guy, but I'm a nice guy,
Mhm.
and I do like to champion people that are being bullied or you know just the I don't know how to say it, the underdog.
Right.
Um, I do like doing things right, and today it's getting tougher and tougher to stand up
Mhm.
to wrong and to the bullying and whatever. But yeah, and that those ways, you know, and he was just a kind of a straight shooting guy, you know, and honest, and I'd like to consider myself that.
And did you catch on, or like when did you realize how big his character was and how popular his character was?
Oh gosh, not till well, in fact, I think it became more popular, you know, in the later years, you
Hmm.
know, and I had no idea. I just didn't know, you know.
Hmm.
I wasn't a comic person growing up, and I wasn't an anime person. It was all new to me, and so you know, as I went along, and the years passed, you know, people would come up, what Ryu, you know, I would mention it, not even thinking about it,
Hmm.
and they're like, dude, no way, yeah, what, no way, you know, and I'm like, what do you mean, no way? What's a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
And then you know, I was a video game player, so I did learn more about you know, and I mean going down to 7-Eleven and putting a quarter in and playing, you know.
Right.
I did a lot of that back in the day, and then of course when we got the home games, we started playing all those. But then I learned more about who Ryu was and Street Fighter, and we played it quite a bit. And I was like, oh yeah, I voiced that guy.
And there was a pretty cool anime movie that it was made in the 80s, but it wasn't dubbed until a little bit later. But do you remember being in They Were 11?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say, don't tell me. Thickhead. Thickhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the character?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. Again, that was with Kevin. I did everything with Kevin back in those days. Kevin and Mary and Wes Claypool, Les Claypool, and at their studio there and Animes and their Laurel Studios, and yeah, it was like a big family there.
Mhm.
And I still see quite a bit of those people in doing what I do today in the looping part of it. A lot of those anime people back then, excuse me, are loopers today, and and it was just this big fun family. And I do remember, yeah, because I thought, what's the name of this thing? You know, okay, whatever. And who am I playing? The big guy there, the end. See, wait, I'll show you again. And that's how it usually was. Who am I? Oh, okay, I got him. You know, and then I found out it was Thickhead. You know, it's so funny because there are things that I've done that I don't know I did, and I don't do a lot of cons, but the few that I do, or the couple that I do have a lot of fans come up and say, "Oh yeah, you were in this." I was.
Mhm.
I'm saying like, well, okay, if you say so, but I don't remember them. You know.
Well, there was a kind of in line with your answer too. There was a show that Bridget directed you on that you played a character called Hikitsu in Fushigi Yugi.
What was the show?
Fushigi Yugi, Mysterious Play.
Nope.
Okay.
That's a new one. I got to
Okay.
type that in and look it up.
Okay.
That one you got me. There's
All
another
right.
new one.
With Cowboy Bebop, I know the story of how that came about. Was it, well, is there anything that you can relate to with Vicious or no?
Um, Not really. I mean, I just, you know, he's a great character to do, a fun character to do, but it's certainly, I suppose there was a time in my life when I was probably, you know, that was part of me, you know, those days are gone, long gone, but yeah, there was a time in my life when I leaned towards that end of the spectrum, as far as personality goes and people go, but those days are gone and a far off memory. So today, but no.
When I did talk to Wendy Lee, she said that she kind of got an inkling that, you know, Bebop would be immensely popular. Did you kind of get that at all at first?
Well, I did get the fact, you know, when I first saw it that it was far beyond its time. You know,
Hmm.
it was just like, okay, this is beyond anything that's being done right now. The music, the sound. I mean, the sound especially was just crazy.
Right.
It really, you know, I can think about it in my head. You know, I still can think of that church scene. You know, and just the water drops and
Yep.
the echo. I mean, that's just it was just like when you sit there and you listen to that on a good sound system or when you're watching it, it's it was just, it's just in my, it's in me, you know.
Mhm.
That's something I just remember. I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. You know, this is crazy. Um, but yeah, definitely, there was definitely signs that okay, one, this is going to be around a while, and it's going to take a while for people to really catch up on this one. You know.
Right. It was cool because Bridget said that she actually got to do ADR for the live action movie
Oh,
of
is
it.
that right?
Yeah.
Oh, lucky dog. I'm gonna bust her chops when I see her. Wait, you didn't have me come in and do that with you?
Right.
That's awesome.
And around the same year that Bebop got dubbed, I know that you got to be in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty fun, pretty cool. And I think we were only supposed to do a day or 2 days or something like that, and we ended up on it a week.
Oh,
And so that was kind of cool. I always like hanging out on sets and stuff, so that was fun. Back then, I did anyway. I still do today, I guess. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
at that time, were you pursuing voiceover more or kind of both?
When I did Buffy, I don't think so. Maybe I might have. Well, no, it was as far as the anime and the games and stuff. It was probably half and half at that time. I really wasn't pushing it. What was starting to happen was I was starting to get into the ADR work,
Okay.
and about that time, slowly, just here or there. Not something I really wanted to do at the time. Not just because I didn't know what it was. Excuse me. I didn't know what it was for one, and two, I enjoyed what I was doing. I was doing a lot of theater at the time. I
Mhm.
loved doing theater and did a lot of great pieces in the theater. Was part of a really great theater company in LA, and that we founded, and we were together for I think I don't remember how many years, but I don't know, probably 3 years maybe. And it was just a really great group of people and a great time in my life, and did some great stuff. So I was pretty busy with doing that,
Mhm.
kind of thing. But the voice thing just kind of coincided with what I was doing on screen too. It was just as an actor, you're looking for ways to make a dollar and pay the bills,
Right.
without parking cars or working in a restaurant, which is impossible. So at that same time, I was working as a caterer. I was working in construction, and probably about that time, for some time, then I was teaching a commercial workshop,
Oh, okay.
teaching young kids how to get into commercials. So I mean, I was on the go constantly, constant, because I sure wasn't going to make it, as an actor, money wise.
Mhm.
So I had to do all those other things if I wanted to have anything. And then slowly but surely, as things go along, you start dropping things off, and hopefully one day you just working as an actor.
And have you doing ADR for major TV and film? Have you gotten to meet a lot of major actors and actresses?
Yeah, I mean, not to the point where we're going to lunch or anything, but we pass by each other, meet each other. They'll come in to do some of their stuff, and we see them. We usually try to, it's different. It's just like I don't really try to approach too many people. It's like
Oh,
this is
hmm
their thing. I don't want to bother you. If they come up and say something, I'm always, yeah, sure, or I'll always tell somebody I'm a fan if I'm a fan. But I don't go try to push myself to meet anybody. But yeah, cross paths with people here and there, and or directors. We work with the directors quite a bit.
hmm
Big directors, so that's kind of fun. Um, but yeah, occasionally.
And so, what would have been your first video game role?
It was oh gosh, Silent Bomber.
Okay, that's what I was gonna guess.
Yeah, it was Judah in Silent Bomber, and I love. Have you played that game by chance?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, it's a great game actually, for as old as it is.
Mhm.
I used to love to play that game. In fact, it's so funny because I just bought a copy of it not long ago because it
Oh,
was hard to come by, and I just wanted to have another copy of it, to have it, and that was the first one, and it was a fun one.
And I've talked to several other people that were in the Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors series,
Yeah.
and I think did you start with Lu Jun before any other character?
I think I started two characters basically at the same time.
Yeah,
They were pretty much from the beginning, or as I recall. So we were doing them. We go in and do one, and then we take a break, and then come back and do the other one. One was younger than the other, I think, as I recall, and that was video games are you move really fast.
yeah,
You just go, and again, I do work pretty fast on those anyway. But and you get down to where it's like you just go down the page,
mhm,
and you give them three different reads on something, and then you end it, and then they go back and do pickups. And we just need to pick up here, pick up there for whatever reason, and you go to the next page because you may do 500 loops,
yeah.
in a 4-hour session. You're like I said, you're moving pretty quickly.
Do you have a particular process in terms of doing younger or teenage boy voices like that?
Uh, yeah. Well, I don't know. It just, I mean, tighten my throat up a little bit, get the resonance out of my voice.
Yeah,
Although it's so funny because I have this conversation all the time with people now in ADR work. Because it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this, this, this. Okay, cool. And I find if I'm at a high school doing something, doing some sort of a class or a seminar or whatever as a guest, I find that a lot of the kids in the high school have lower voices than I have. I mean, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Oh, okay, because you look like you're 19,
Yeah.
and you got a lot of resonance in your voice. You got a really low voice. So it's like, usually it's vernacular more than anything else. And you just try to learn what the kids are saying today, and just sloppy it up a little bit and tighten your throat up a little bit, and just get this out of there. Hey, yo, dude, yeah, whatever, that's cool,
Yeah.
that type of thing. Yeah, whatever, man. But and then if you're gonna do the jocks coming through the hallway right after that, hey, yes, you suck, and you just keep walking.
Mhm. Because, well, some other people that I have talked to who've done those games, like Terrence Stone and Julie Madalena, and they've said that it was kind of more difficult with the Dynasty and Samurai Warriors games because, uh, like, maintaining acting while having to talk in that old and kind of like wooden tone of talking. Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you remember too?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose on some of the longer sections of dialogue, but I mean, most of it you're just doing a line or two, unless you're giving some speech, so it's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you're doing 4 or 5 lines and trying to keep that, yeah, it could be different. We do it several times till we got
Mm.
it. My biggest problem when I do stuff like that is I just don't know how to pronounce the names.
Oh, right.
And I've got to ask 5 times. Say it again. I've had that problem with everything I do in anime. It's like I'm, Mary Elizabeth. When we used to work together at the beginning of Naruto, Mary, what's that name again? And she'd tell it to you, and then I just get to that name when we're doing the loop. Ah, crud, I forget. Say it again for me, and she'd say, "Okay, Skip. Here's what and then she would just whisper into my ear as I'm going. She's pretty funny.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's my biggest problem is I just don't know how to pronounce the people's names, and you got to get it right because every fan knows how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Much better than I ever would. So you get it wrong, you're going to hear about it.
And well, in terms of Naruto, with Guide, was that kind of like a were you trying to do like a based off of an Elvis kind of thing?
Started with I tell you, it's funny because it started with a combination of um, Charlton Heston, and there's an actor by the name of I think I don't know if he's still around. His name is Ed Winter,
Mhm.
I believe. Was it Ed Winter? I think so. I met him one time, and that's where I uh, kind of drew from those three characters. He was the guy that played Colonel Flag on MASH. He
Okay,
was a
yeah.
CIA guy, and he talked with really clipped. Oh, I tell you, you guys, is that type of thing, you know, which
Mhm.
is, and then actually there was a lot more Elvis in Guy when we started. If you listen to the very first scene when he comes out of the turtle, and he says, "How's everybody doing?" You can hear the roll. How's everybody doing? You
Mhm.
know, you just hear all that roll going on, and then we kind of got it just kind of melded just naturally into more of the Charlton Heston. You know, it just get your hands off me, you filthy apes. You know,
Mhm.
and just that clip. You know, in a fun way for Guy Sensei though.
Right.
But what a joy of a character to voice. You know, and just a hoot. I mean, every session was a hoot nanny
Mhm.
because we were just laughing our heads off. You know, especially with that clip stuff going on. Even today, you know, one of my most fun things is I'll be shopping, and it just happened the other day. Actually, it happened the other day at the marina. I walked out. I was walking out of the docks, and this kid walked by, a young kid with a Naruto shirt on, and I said, "That's not a Naruto shirt, is it?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you're a Naruto fan?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, dude, I'm about to rock your world because I'm Guy Sensei." He
Yeah.
goes, "What?" And then I started just, once you start talking like Guy, no way, I said, "Yeah, way, brother." It was so much. I love doing that. And I have pictures in my truck, and we ran around the truck. And I said, "You want a picture? I'll get you." "Yeah." And his mom was there, which was really cool. And we walked back to my truck, and I signed something to him. And that's just the most fun. But with Guy Sensei, what's so cool is his voice, or the what he does is so recognizable when you start to do it, especially if you say Kakashi. Then they all, "Oh my gosh, you are Guy."
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun, pretty cool.
And in terms of Guy, what's the single moment where, or like the most emotional uh, scene moment that you've had to do with him, where it was really acting and intense or anything like that?
Oh, it's probably when Rock Lee, in that one fight where he got almost killed.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in that whatever he was doing, and that was we had to stop the goofing around for that, a little bit. Of course, we we picked it right back up
Mhm.
after we were done, and then we made fun of the scene, and did it a whole different way. Uh, but that's just the nature of what we do. But that was that one, and there was probably a couple of them. I remember a couple of them in there actually. Actually, when at the end, towards the end, you know,
Mm.
there were a couple of moments, and that was that was partly just the actor seeing the end of the character that I love doing so much, coming to an end.
Yep.
It's like it was sad.
I guess in terms of anime, is there a single darkest role that you've had to get like the single darkest emotional headspace for?
Probably Vicious.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I figured.
I mean, it's just that's just Vicious was interesting just because the biggest direction I got from Mary on Vicious, lower,
Oh
lower,
yeah.
because my voice would start coming up, and keep your voice low, 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 lower, lower. Mary, that's all I got. you know, and she's such a wonderful director. I mean, she just tells you everything that's going on.
Mhm.
Because I don't know, I don't get it like a script or anything. She goes on now on some stuff. Really, I hope she doesn't mind me telling you this if she ever sees this interview. But on some stuff, she's explaining everything, and then she'll kind of get a glance at me, and she'll say, I remember she said, "You don't really care, do you? Let's just do it." And that's usually on the lighter stuff. But she's
Mhm.
just very thorough and very good, and I appreciate that and love that. But in that case, on Cowboy Bebop, it really helped, because she says, "Here's where you're at, man. Here's where you got to be." And then we'd do a take, and she says, "I don't think you're there yet. This is where I need you to be more, And it's okay. Here we go.
Mhm.
Let's do it again. And then I would get lower, lower.
I think probably my personal favorite anime role of yours is Satoshi in Marmalade Boy.
Marmalade Boy. Wow. Yeah, those are some fun times too. Yeah. that was an interesting series. I don't hear a lot of people talk about Marmalade Boy, but boy, was it a fun thing to do. And that's another actress that I see all the time, Michelle Ruff.
Oh, yep.
You know, I mean, we just worked together the other day.
Mhm.
In fact, this hat that I have on it's called Scuff Mark, and it's Michelle and Eddie's company. They
Oh,
started this skating wear thing. I don't know if you guys can see it really well, but it's my favorite hat in the whole wide world, and so I wear it all the time. And that's Michelle Ruff's doing.
oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, those were some fun times. You know, I'll tell you a quick little story that no one knows, and I wish I had. I don't know. Oh, actually, it's on YouTube. I'm trying to think. I was looking for my ukulele, but I don't need it because it's on YouTube. There was we decided to come up with a theme song. There was a mixer there, an engineer by the name of Zolly,
Mhm.
and we were all great friends. And Zolly had these just long dreads, just a beautiful man, wonderful person. And we were going to do a series called Zolly, and just make believe, just fun. We were funning
Mhm.
around. And I said, "Oh, great! I'll come up with a theme song." And so it was Zolly and the KKK,
Oh,
and yeah, it was pretty funny and pretty crazy, and how he infiltrates the KKK, and it's actually on YouTube.
okay.
I recorded it, and then I took a bunch of old Mickey Mouse cartoons. Way back in the day, and they all cut together perfect for this video to put it up to, and so it's on there. It's called Zolly.
Okay.
Check it out sometime. It's pretty funny.
And also in terms of Marmalade Boy, did you think that you could relate to Satoshi a lot?
He was the teacher, right? He
No,
was the
he
kid.
was Satoshi was the blue-haired, yeah, the kid that was,
The kid.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to be honest with you. I don't really remember him too well. I'm actually trying
Okay.
to look him up so I could see him. Was he on the outside trying to get on the inside? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was in love with Kate Higgins' character.
Right, right. And then, I think, because I played an older character too, a teacher or something, right?
Yeah, and her character was also in love with him too.
Oh, I should be so lucky.
Oh
I,
yeah, and then I guess around that same time too would have been Digimon.
yeah, Digimon came after,
Okay.
because it was the same studio. We were working the same space, and I don't remember how Digimon came to be. I guess it was just was it Jeff? I know it was Jeff, but I don't know if Jeff called me in or Jeff Seymour, who was terrific. Um, but yeah, that was a fun character to do, and that was another hootenanny um, to do of a show.
Because no, you got to be all the different evolutions of him too.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool, and I had no idea.
Okay.
I had no idea. I'd never seen Digimon. I had no idea what it was. Knew nothing about it, and it was like, okay, you're gonna do Galmon. He's this little bear with these boxing gloves. Okay, cool. The sir, yes sir. And now you're Galgamon. Who?
Mhm.
And it's like it's the same guy, but he's like different. Okay. And it's just basically your voice got, rougher and rougher every time until you get to that, what is it, Mega Galgamon or Megatron or something.
Mhm.
And then it was just, a throat terror, for that guy. That was a fun show to do, though.
This was going backwards, but I was going to ask too what your memory was of being on Multiplicity.
Here's what happened on Multiplicity. It was one of the best experiences of my life,
Okay.
for one. I worked on it for the whole entire movie. I was there for almost 3 months
Mhm.
doing that movie. What had happened was a good friend of mine, who's now a big producer and writer, and Ken Haynes was his name, who also was doing soaps at the time. And he was hired to play all of the characters that Michael wasn't playing.
Oh, yeah.
So Michael would have somebody to work off of, and at the same time, you would have this little camera, and you would be filming Michael's whatever character he was playing, Michael Keaton,
Hmm.
whatever character you'd be filming it while you're working with him, and so he could turn around, and he could watch
Hmm.
himself, so he could play against himself. Anyway, so that's what he was doing. He got a soap contract. He got a contract to do a soap when they were about to start filming, and he had already started doing some of the testing. So they asked him. He says, "Do you know anybody that could do this, like you do it?" Because Ken is just a remarkable human being and really great actor and great person. And where it's not going to be about you, and you can do everything you're doing and improv and this and that. And he goes, "I only know one guy," and he said, "Call this guy," and it was me. And I went down and I met him, and he called me. I says, "You got to get down to the studio right now. They're going to meet you. They're going to want to meet you right now." I stopped what I was doing and drove down there and met everybody and got along with everybody. Met Michael, and we all got along, and they hired me. And that's what I was there to do,
Okay.
was just play opposite of Michael.
Wow.
I played all the characters he wasn't playing. I did some of the special effects stuff, a lot of the testing, and then some of the shots inside the movie. Was me doing it off camera or whatever. There was one shot that I'm very proud of because we had to throw a. There had to be one of these characters throws a beer to the other character, and it had to be on a perfect arch.
Hmm.
And I just happened to hit that arch on the first throw of the beer,
Oh.
and I got a big standing ovation from all the crew. It was pretty cool. That was one of the greatest learning experiences of my life
Hmm.
in film. Working with the great Richard
Hmm.
Edlin, the special effects, and Laszlo Kovac, who was the DP, and of course Harold Ramis, who directed it. Working with those guys, I mean, and Michael Keaton, forget it. I mean, that
Hmm.
guy is the most unbelievable human being in the world. He was so gracious to me and so wonderful to me, and just great. Just I can't say enough about him. He was so terrific. And there was a day that I was hurting pretty bad. I had thrown my back out, and I
Oh,
was hurting
yeah.
pretty bad. It was December. It was cold. I was kind of limping, and he came out of his big, huge mobile home or whatever he had there. It's his dressing room. He goes, "Dude, what's going on?" I go, "Oh, I'm good. I hurt my back." And he goes, "Wow, you look terrible." I said, "Yeah, I'll be all right," because I was kind of bent over. And he goes, "Get in here," and he had his masseuse work on me and give me a nice massage. It was unbelievable. I mean, he's just such a great guy. That was pretty cool. And I'll tell you a funny story about that is down the road years later. This is all going to tie. Bridget was looking for somebody to voice match Michael on something that she was doing because they wanted to take out all the swear words of something he was doing for the airplanes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I auditioned for that, ended up doing that,
Wow.
and working for Bridget, doing Michael, two people that I had worked with and met, and all kind of came around. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But that was just a 3 months of just pure joy. Um, Laughing and just meeting great people and fun people, and it was just awesomeness, just awesome. I was very blessed to be a part of that.
I was just gonna ask, even though it might be obvious based off your answer, but was that initially daunting to you at all?
Oh yeah, at the beginning, of course, I mean, there was a lot of dialogue, and because you had to learn some dialogue, and even though you had the script, whatever. And then they asked me one day if I could do the same thing for the guy playing the doctor, who I
Oh.
cannot remember his name right now, and this is a fantastic actor. They said, could you do his stuff? And I'm like, well, sure, of course, So it's like, just give me the script, and went home and learned it all that I could, and ended up doing him as well. So it was. But again, this goes back to how people make you feel, you
Hmm.
know. And this is just kind of a thing in life, I mean, I learned this saying a long time ago. Um, I think it was Angelou, I think, said it. Said, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Right.
And I may forget what you said, but I'll never forget how you made me feel, what good or bad. And in that case, they were all so wonderful, everybody, that you couldn't really mess up. And so, as with that attitude, with that kind of surroundings, it just became easy
Mm.
and fun, and it just you kind of slipped right into it. It was pretty fun, pretty cool. And that's going back to what we were talking about earlier. I actually did the little part at the end, and that was just Harold, Ramis saying, "Hey, I want to put you in the movie, because I know you're an actor, and this is not, I said, well, thanks, and that's why I ended up being the irate parent yelling
Mm.
at somebody at the end, yelling at Michael.
Mm. And then in terms of ADR and voice matching major celebrities, have you had to do that a lot?
Yeah, over the years, I've done a few here and there. Normally, you're doing people that, for instance, they may shoot something in New Zealand, and they hired a lot of local people who were terrific, but they had really heavy accents
Right.
that they can't use, so they need to replace them, and that's what we do. Some of the minor actors, or if they need a bartender, just to say, "What can I get you?"
Mm.
But you don't really see the bartender. You just see his hand, or you see him in a long shot. But when the star walks up, and the star says, "Give me a gin and tonic," they want to hear, "Right away, sir," or "You betcha," or "Right away,"
Yeah.
sir. And that's what we do, And then for the stars, most of the time we're doing just grunts and efforts. We do a lot of fight scenes, and because they're busy and they, don't want to come in for an hour and a half going,
Mm.
that's what we do. It's just
Yeah.
easier for us to do it because we'll do 3 people in the movie, or it's main people, or we'll do all the other guys that are getting killed that he's beating up. That's what we do.
Mm. And I guess the most recent anime you would have been or you would have worked on is Scissor Seven.
Yeah, just did the new season, which I can't say anything about really. I think maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago,
Okay.
and totally different anime, a lot of fun. It's just such a hoot,
Mm.
and cracks me up every time we do it. And that's another show when we do it. They move, they go fast, they go faster than what I'm used to going. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun to do. And have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, It's different, and pretty wild. First one I saw, the first season, it's like, okay, what is this?
You're right.
It was so out there, but I really learned to appreciate it and really, really like it a lot. It's not anything like I've ever done,
Hmm.
you know. And I
I
wish I
guess
could say
you're
more about it, but I can't.
okay. And have you been approached to be in more anime like in recent years too?
It's a lot of it becomes a union thing,
Okay.
and so it's just a business thing, I've been over the years have been asked to do this or that, and I always is it union or whatever, and I've auditioned for a few, just didn't get them,
Mhm.
and just not right or whatever, and it's like whatever, they went with somebody better.
Mhm.
It's all right.
So I guess
I do get to work on Baruto.
oh right. Yeah.
Yeah, I do get to do a occasional stint on that as Guy, which is always fun.
Hmm. I was just gonna ask, there's like a single event with all the on camera stuff or just in general where you've been the most starstruck
What do you mean?
in terms of who you were working with, like another actor or actress.
You know, I'm not that person. I never have been, even
Okay.
as a youngster. I've never been really starstruck with anybody. I mean, when we did Tough Guys, that was pretty amazing working with these Hollywood icons. I mean,
Hmm.
it's just, and to be able to say that and to have pictures of me standing next to him, is pretty incredible. But I've just never been that person. You
Okay.
know, um, it's just not me.
Well, I guess because according to IMDb, the last like voiceover or any kind of credit that you have is on the Highwaymen.
Yeah, well, that's just because the reason is, I mean, there's been a lot of things since then.
Hmm.
Some things credit you, some things don't.
Right.
Depending on who you're working for, sometimes you get credit when you're in doing ADR, and that was essentially ADR, but then we ended up doing some special things in that one, some radio voices and this and that, and sometimes they credit you with it, and other times they don't because we truly do that almost every time we work. You
Hmm.
know, we're always doing a radio voice, a sportscaster in the background. Third down, and here's White coming in. That type of crap, or a horse race, or whatever. But you don't get credit. But that Highwaymen, yeah, they were very gracious in crediting those roles. I did. It's the same thing when we do movies. We always do bigger stuff or more of it. And for I think it was one of the GI Joe movies, I had ended up. I did a temp, just so they had it, so they could cut the movie together for the narration at the beginning of it. And a bunch of us went to see the movie, and we were kind of playing a game to see who could hear whose voice the
Oh yeah.
most, type thing. And right out of the gate, it was my voice doing the narration. They kept it in there, and it was like, what? It was pretty cool. It was pretty funny. Um, but yeah, so that's probably, and now Highwayman was a couple years ago, I think, when
Yeah.
we did that. A fun movie to work on, though.
And do you ever is it mostly just ADR now, or do you ever try to pursue on camera stuff anymore?
No, the on-camera thing really doesn't interest me too much
Okay.
anymore. I just don't like to memorize lines anymore. I don't like the nerve wrackingness of it. Um, and I just, yeah, it's just, you know, somebody actually a woman who I've known forever. She's like my mother, my second mother. She's just wonderful to me, and she's a manager. Um, she had submitted me for something not long ago, and it was like a few weeks ago. And every once in a while she does, and they had called and they wanted me to audition for it, and I read it, and it was a really great role, but I just wasn't feeling it. It just wasn't. I just wasn't up for it. It's not something I really wanted to do.
Hmm.
I've gotten to the point now where I just, if I don't really, unless it's a role that I really, really want to go, and I tell you, going back to what we were talking about earlier, some of those bad guy roles, the bad guy roles are the fun roles to play.
Hmm.
I played a cop a lot in different things, and it can be okay, but you play a cop for so long, it's like I want to play the other guy.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it, and I suppose if the right bad guy role would come up, maybe, but yeah, just not really interested in it. I like what I'm doing. I do the ADR work, and I love it. I love the people I work with, and nowadays, unfortunately, this is where I work.
Yep.
I'm working right in this little booth here at home, and so I don't get to see my friends as much as usual. But we see each other on Zoom, like I'm looking at you, and we yuck it up before we start working, and then we work and we yuck it up in the takes a little bit, and we still have fun, but it's not quite the same.
Mhm. And in terms of like anime people like Bridget Hoffman and Michelle, who else are you pretty close with?
Well, I see Eddie Frierson.
Oh yeah.
Eddie Frierson, I see on a pretty good regular basis. Who else? I just got an email about a play that he wrote, and it's going to be out. He's a terrific writer, Steve Apostolina, who
Okay.
I worked with in anime early on. I'm trying to think who else did the anime back. I see uh, Tom Fawn occasionally, and Jonathan,
Yep.
and their sister Dorothy, or is it sister-in-law Dorothy? I don't remember now. But but the Fawns I see on occasion. I see their
Okay.
names come across. A lot of people from the anime world kind of went over to the ADR side and doing the ADR stuff. Michelle, I probably see more than anybody.
Okay.
Michelle and Eddie.
Yeah, because I just talked to Leah Sargent. I know that she mostly does teaching now.
Yeah, in fact, it's so funny because I saw Leah at a convention a couple years ago for the. It was at a convention they had the reunion for Cowboy Bebop,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was the first. It was 25th anniversary, and it was the first time we were all in the same room together. Because I had never, I didn't really do conventions, and I kind of live off the, I don't know, what's the word I want? I'm not on social networking, and I'm hard to reach, and
Yeah.
so I never did all those things. And I did that when it was a lot of fun. But I got to see Leah, and I hadn't seen her in so long. And actually, I've worked with Leah in some ADR as well. She used to do more ADR, and she's just terrific and just a
Yeah.
bundle of energy. Is what she is.
And I guess the way that I like to end every interview I do is by asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
That I just was kind and treated people well, and was um, a fun guy to hang out with, and just lived life to the fullest no matter what, 100%. And that's pretty much it. You know,
Okay.
it's funny. My family calls me Punk,
Oh,
and my daughter, she has on here. Oh, I wish I could get this off so I could read it to you. Oh well, it has punk, and then it has definition of punk, and one of them says a fun guy, and then she has it fungi, a spongy substance
oh yeah.
from a really fun guy. She has all this fun stuff on here, and it's like if that would work for me, you know. I do like to enjoy life and have fun and enjoy my family and friends, and yeah, that would be it. And helping out guys like you doing your thing.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that you're doing this, man. How many of these have you done?
You'd be my 71st.
Wow, dude, good for
Yeah.
you. And I know it's not easy. It's not easy to nail people down and to get people to do this. And so good for you.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, because when I did Bridget, I mean, I got her contact from Julie Madalena because Bridget's not on anything either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we kind of we kind of live in a hole, we just kind of do our thing. Most of that social networking is just not my thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I'm glad that I got to do this.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Wow, it really went by fast.
Hmm.
I thought when I first knew we were gonna do an hour, I'm going an hour. I don't know what I'm gonna say for an hour. So, that was quick. Yeah, I could do another hour with you. You're a great interviewer. So good for
Oh,
you.
thank you.
It's cool. Maybe we'll meet one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would I would enjoy that. If I do, I'll take you out for a burger or something.
Okay. Thanks.
All right,
Bye.
brother. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you, pal.